Hello everyone, welcome to AWS and Linux Foundation course. This is the day one. We are starting with this journey, and I'm going to give you very much basics about the cloud computing today, right? So these are the items that we are going to target for today in understanding the terminologies of the on-premises cloud infrastructure application, right? The data center and some of the computing resources, right? And introducing you the different cloud service providers, right? So these are the items that we are going to discuss today as part of our delivery, guys, right? So let's get into the discussion now. Well, first I would like to go through the infrastructure and the application terminologies. Okay. And today, as it is a day one, the complete session will be a theoretical because we cannot get into the practical implementation at a day one without having the background of the basics and the concepts, right? So always the delivery model will be, I will be giving you the terminology introduction, and then will be giving you the theoretical understanding of the architecture. The step number three, we will be jumping on to the practical to implement it exactly and doing some hands-on, guys, right? That is how the delivery model will be, right? Well, so let's see what is this infrastructure and the application stuff, right? So, well, so I think we always need to look at the end user perspective, right? Who is the end user, guys? End user is the terminology which describe that the customer who is purchasing a product. At end of the day, once you understand and learn the technology, right? You need to, join in an organization. You are doing a job, right? You are doing something and you are getting paid for that. But when you look at any organization who is offering you the job and asking you to do something as part of your job responsibility, the organization is actually making a profit out of that or doing the business out of it, right? So so I think start looking at from their side, right? So what exactly they are trying to achieve from the deliverables that you are doing as part of your job, correct? And of course, sometimes you as a beginner in IT, you don't worry about all these things, right? You need a job and you do whatever the manager asks you and you implement it and you get paid for a month end, right? But beyond that, yes, it's very important to understand from the business side as well what exactly happening and how exactly your job is helping them in running their businesses, right? Is important, guys, nowadays, to in order to become the expertise on this, right? Because you should know why you are doing the job and how this is helping from them as well. That is how I'm driving these efforts. Okay, right? Any company, right, is definitely doing a business. Let's say here I'm taking the example of flipkart.com. Let's say the Flipkart is the organization who is having the flipkart.com product, which is like a website for you. But from the technical perspective, the flipkart.com is the product that they are offering for the users, the end users who would like to purchase a product through online shopping services, right? So in this terminology, the end user is mean that the actual customer who is trying to utilize the services that are offering by the company, right, through their product. And here the product name is a flipkart.com, guys, and that's where I think you all know that what is a flipkart.com product and what kind of the services that this product is offering to the end users, right? If you ask me the technical way, the flipkart.com is the retail product which is offering the online shopping portal related services to the end users who can purchase the products that they would like to, right, and get them delivered on your doorstep, correct? Well, so if this flipkart.com product has to be running and this website should be available to you guys to purchase a product, all these things, definitely someone has to work on in the backend to make this website available to you, correct? That is where we are learning the towards from the end user to the actual the technical responsibilities. Well, so if this flipkart.com product, and again guys, the Flipkart I'm taking as an example, but it could be any website that is offering certain services. Could be a banking product website offering you the banking services, could be a health sector, could be a retail sector, could be financial sector, right? There are different domains are there where the different companies are doing their businesses and offering the services to the users, right? This is the retail sector product that I'm taking as an example, but the discussion that I'm having here will be applicable for any business sector, as nowadays any business sector is offering the services through a web model, right? That means the app model. Either it could be a website that you are browsing in your browsers, or it could be an app that you are installing in your mobiles and accessing through, right? Both are pretty much same, right? So if this kind of a product has to be running and accessible, right, from the back end, yes, the infrastructure would be required. The infrastructure terminology refers that the required hardware component, right, that are needed to run this particular kind of the websites. When I say infrastructure, which is the combination of the hardware, that means the processor, memory, the networking related topologies, the storage concepts in order to store the data that is generated out of your business, correct? All these different elements are called as a infrastructure, guys. Okay, so if any website has to be running, definitely one system would be required, right? Correct. So the system components like a processor, memory, networking in the sense, doing the cabling between the systems, configuring, and the hard disks that you call, right, in order to store the data, right? So all these different elements are connected, integrated together to make a system, right? That is now called as a infrastructure from the IT perspective. Yes, in order to run this type of a websites, I need a infrastructure. In a shortcut, you just need some systems, right? All these processor, memory, networking, or the hard drives that I talked about, are the devices in your system only, right? All are devices of your system. That means you need a system to run a website, that I'm referring as an infrastructure. That's it. Only the terminology is little differ when it comes to the professional IT perspective, right? Well, so I just need an infrastructure to run my business, and all these infrastructure components that I would need to run this type of a business would need to be set up in a specific data center. What is data center? Data center is the terminology that I'm introducing here. The data center is mean that the building space where you are putting all these infrastructure components space. That means you are purchasing some systems, right, or a computers to run your business. That computers or systems are, in high level terminology, the infrastructure. If you keep them in one single building space and make them in running, that is called as a data center. So in one word, I would say I just need to maintain a data center which is containing the number of infrastructure elements connected properly to make your systems or computers running. Yes, that is would be needed to run this type of the businesses case. Then when I say a data center and the infrastructure terminology, which refers only the computer hardware and the systems, which is like a bare metal systems. The bare metal terminology is mean that there is only a computer is there, but the computer is not in an operating mode as per your convenience. Remember guys, if you are actually purchasing a laptop from any of the store, right? Usually when you go and try to purchase a system, you need to give them the specification of the different hardware components in terms of how much processor, how much memory, what kind of the networking ports that you are looking for, HDMI, the storage capacity, something like that, right? So the different hardware elements or devices that you choose will be assembled properly to make a system. But that system is the bare metal system, which is not in an operating mode as per your business mode. And you cannot talk to the hardware directly, right, in order to make it working. Let's say I wanted to use my computer to my use cases. You can't use the system or a computer directly without a proper interface, right? So a bare metal system is the computer which is not having a operating system installed. So in order to start using this infrastructure, on top of the infrastructure you need to install a operating system. What is operating system, guys? Operating system is the software. Operating system is the software which can be installed on a bare metal hardware devices. Operating system will provide you a interface between a user who would like to use these computers and and the hardware devices that are actually involving in your computer space, right? So once you install the operating system on top of this bare metal infrastructure, then through this operating system, you can access your computers. That is how the typical way how you guys are using as of today your laptop, right? Laptop, system, computer, all refers to the same meaning, right? Only based on the size, based on the weight, based on the kind of the manufacturing mode, the different terminologies are there, but end of the day the computer system laptop refers to the same. Every device is having the processor, memory, the storage, and the operating system for you to start using, right? So now I need to select a operating system which can be helping me to start using my computers, which are like a infrastructure now, right, in your data center. These are the different operating system that you can choose. The Red Hat operating system, Ubuntu operating system, CentOS, Amazon Linux, all these are the flavors of the Linux operating system. And in a Windows, you can see the different Windows flavored versions like Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 11, whatever you are comfortable, right? And there are few Mac OS versions as well available for you to use as a operating system to start using your computers, correct? Out of all these operating systems, though the basic purpose of all these operating system is same to give you the interface to start using your system, but each operating system has its own pros and the cons, right? That means advantages, disadvantages. Each OS may be suitable for different needs. We need to choose the operating system which is more suitable for our business model. To my requirement is, let's say I wanted to run a flipkart.com kind of a website that I wanted to use as a retail business marketer to my end user. To run that, which OS would be suitable? That is how we need to take a decision and start using that OS to configure that as per your need. I think when you are purchasing a laptop, right? I'm sure this kind of a question also arised. Hey, what is the purpose that you are purchasing this system? Based on that, we'll see which OS or which capacity would be needed for your use, right? Same thing. And here, out of all these operating systems, we are focusing on Linux flavored operating system that we are going to learn throughout these lectures, which is more popular, powerful operating system flavor to meet all of your different business needs. In the Linux, again, we can see there are different flavors, right? All these flavors will be on top of the Linux only, but there will be slight difference in terms of the way how these are working, guys. Out of all these, we are focusing on Amazon Linux operating system to see how that OS works and how to use that OS to configure it for your business needs. But believe me, if you learn Amazon Linux in this course, right, you can easily integrate with your Red Hat and CentOS and Ubuntu as well. There will be slight difference in other Linux flavors, right? Even I compare to Amazon Linux. Good. Now that means now we got that we need a data center which is having the infrastructure elements are composed as a computer. On top of that, I need a operating system, and we are using the Amazon Linux operating system throughout our lecture in order to configure it. Now tell me guys, having a system and the operating system in it will be suffice in order to start using this for your business needs? No, right? Each time when I'm using the terminology called business, right? Don't think it's like a uh, how and what is mean by the business application. Just for understanding, you can even think of like this is your home-based computer or a laptop, just to minimize the complexity in understanding, right? I'll give you a simple example. You are purchasing a computer for your home, and definitely when you are purchasing the home for a, when you are purchasing the computer for your home, the step number one, you need to prepare a infrastructure, which is your computer hardware. The step number two, we need to install the operating system. Most likely you will go with Windows if it is home-based purpose. The step number three, so you need a application that has to be installed on top of the operating system in order to start using this for your use cases, correct? I'll call out few use cases. Let's say you wanted to play a beautiful movie. Can you play the movie on your operating system directly? No, right? The use case here is to play the movie, and now you will start searching for the software. Which software will be suitable here to play my movie file, right? So now you download the software, install the software, do some little customization on the software, then starting the software and use the software to play the movie file, correct? Yes. Now the only difference is, rather me using the terminology called software, I'm just using the terminology called application. Application, software, both are same guys. From IT perspective, now I'm using the term called application. That's it. That means application is just a software that you need to install on your operating system. Based on the different uses that you have, you need to look through the different applications that we can install. If your requirement is to play the movie file, search for the application that is supported. If your requirement is to prepare a nice beautiful document, then search for the MS Office application. If your requirement to create a beautiful PDF formatted document, then search for the PDF application, correct? Like that. For every use case, there is an application designed, and you need to you need to download, you need to install, you need to configure. What does it mean by configure, guys? Configure in the sense, remember, sometimes you will be doing some customization of your software, right? How your software should be look like, maybe the volume settings, or maybe a the video panel settings, or whatever, based on the use cases that you have. In a generic word, yes, we need to download, you need to install, you need to configure, you need to customize, then you need to start the application, guys, right? Because the moment when you install the application, will it start working for you? No. You may be installed a number of applications and the number of softwares in your system. Whichever you wanted to use, you need to go and start it, correct? If it is a Windows, usually you go to your desktop, there will be a icon, you double click, that is how you are starting the application. But every application will have its own way how it has to be started. So you start the application, then the application will start running and will give you the necessary business function based on the requirement, correct? Yes. All what you need to learn here is you need to understand what is this infrastructure, how to build my infrastructure. Step number two, you need to understand what is this operating system, how to install or how to understand the operating system architecture in order to run through. Then the step number three, you need to understand how to pick up the application first and how to download the application, how to install that, how to configure and customize it, then how to use this application for your business. Here I am listing some of the applications that may be needful, useful on your operating system related to your business model, guys. If it is the home-based purpose, as you see the MS Office, maybe a VLC media place or the applications. When it comes to the business, the real-time, right, the organization specific, IT specific, whatever the tools like Java, Docker, Python, I'm sure you might be heard about all these names, right? Right? These are the applications that you need to install on the operating system and make use these for your business needs. Once the application is there, now that application will start giving you the beautiful website, whatever you wanted to show to your end users, guys. That is the different layers that are involved here to make your final product available to the end user. Now, can we get start with application directly? No, you can't understand how to install and configure the application on day one, because installing the application you need a skill of a operating system, and to work with the operating system you should have a skill of how the infrastructure works and how the data center works, how the networking works, correct? So because of all these dependencies, the day one we can't understand how this flipkart.com product is working. First we need to get some basics of infrastructure, then we'll see the Linux flavored, then we will see the any one of the application, how to use these applications to run my business application like a website. Hope this is clear, right? Now you may be still having a question, what is a data center? And of course I can't show you the physical data center by walking through, but you see this is the typical data center view, how it will be in a building space. A typical physical data center is having the number of racks that are kept in, and in each rack, right, some some computers will be placed in, guys, correct? So you'll be having some hundreds of racks put into one single floor, and the number of computers will be kept in each racks, and there will be some cabling connectivity, and all this will be taken place, right? And yes, so when I go back to the previous slide, right, when I go back to the previous slide, yes, whatever you see in the application list, yes, at end of the day all these applications would be required in order to make your final product will be available. And yes, the Apache HTTP, Apache Tomcat are two different applications to deal with a different type of business functions, are not same definitely, right? At this time we are not there here to understand what is the difference between Apache HTTPD and Tomcat, what is Jenkins. No, that is not the level that we have, right? So at the time, first we need to understand the infra, then the Linux, then we'll jump on to the application layer, correct? That is how the dependencies that we need to look through. That's the reason first I am focusing on the data center part, because that is where my infrastructure is kept in, that is where my the computers are kept in. Then we'll see this. Now let's talk about the cloud computing introduction, guys. I'm sure you are all familiar that the cloud is becoming famous nowadays, and everyone is using the cloud technologies to make them uh, make their application or business is running. We'll see what does it mean by the cloud computing and how this is got more popular nowadays. You see, this is a typical data center, right, where the racks are kept in and the systems are kept in and the cabling is done. Let's say I'm the owner of my business. I wanted to run a flipkart.com kind of a product. I need a data center, right, to run my business application. So when I am maintaining my own data center and I have my employees who are accessing my data center servers to configure the servers, sorry, to configure the computers or systems, right, to make a product like a retail product like a flipkart.com, then this is called as a customer managed infrastructure, or we can even call this as a on premises infrastructure, guys. Let me repeat. On premises is the terminology that we are using here, which describes that if you are maintaining your own data center, your own servers, you are struggling to keep your data center running up successfully, then that model is called as a on premises. What is the problem with the on premises model, guys? I'll give you an example like this. Let's say I have too much knowledge in terms of how to sell a product. I wanted to sell one product and now I know how to sell the product through a online portal by understanding the customer mindset. Which kind of a product I need to sell to whom, what kind of a pricing that I need to set, that kind of the area that I have more knowledge on it. Let's say now I start off thinking to start a business. Okay, let's start a retail business. I wanted to sell the products, but the problem is we have more knowledge on the product side, how to sell your products to the right customers. But to make this into the implementation, we need a website. To run a website, and you need a infrastructure. To run a infrastructure, we need a data center. Now the problem is you do not know how to run your data center, how to manage with the infrastructure, how to run your infrastructure, right? Things. Because without infrastructure and the computers, at the end of the day, your website will not be run and you can't sell the products. Correct? So the problem is because you wanted to run a business and to that business, because you need a data center, right? So though you like or you don't like, right, unfortunately you need to purchase the systems and you need to learn how to run a data center. You need to struggle a lot to manage your data center, correct? Though that is not your responsibility, though you are not expertise in managing the data centers. To run a data center, you need to work on the physical servers warranty, guarantee, the power, dual power supply, the temperature conditions of your data center space, the software licenses, the failures of the hardware, replacement, right? And you purchase a number of servers today, tomorrow, let's say you don't want to run a business. All the servers are you already purchased, you paid the money upfront and there is a loss. So there are a lot of difficulties in maintaining a data center. And also not everyone is expertise on maintaining a data center, right? You may be expertise on running a business but not on the data center side, correct? So this is where the people are struggling to manage the data center. But if you are managing your own data center to run your own business, that model is called as a on premises, guys. And I'm talking about the different challenges that are there in managing your own data center by yourself to run your business. Now, the people are looking for an alternative. So, what can be done here? Yes, I want to run my business, but I don't want to get into this data center maintenance, all these things, because I'm not aware of how to manage these data centers, but I know how to run my business. Business in the sense I know how to sell the product, but I don't know how to run all these data center things, right? That is where the cloud computing has came into the picture. What is cloud? Even in the cloud model, yes, definitely the data center would be needed because at the end of the day, The computers or the systems must be there to run a business. But the slight change here is the data center where the number of computers or the systems kept in. This data center is now being managed by a cloud service provider. Who is service provider? The service provider is the third party company who is responsible in managing the data center and the servers to be in, sorry, systems to be running as expected. If you wanted to run a business like a flipkart.com, all what you just need one system, right? Or a computer. Just because you need one system, why should you worry about managing entire data center? Now you take the help of the service providers who are expertise in managing the infrastructure on behalf of you. And from this cloud service provider, you take one server, sorry, you take one system, right? And use that system to configure by your specific application needs. That means when you wanted to run your flipkart.com kind of a website, you just need a computer, right? You just ask the service provider, say service provider, I just need one computer to run my business. The service provider will give you the system related IP or whatever the details that you need. You take the details through the internet or any other network, you use that and configure it and run your business. In this model, yes, your goal is to run a website and run a business on that. You are able to do that without you involving in how the computers and the data center is being managed. Got me, guys? The difference here. The service provider is a third party company who will be taking care of all the difficulties how to manage a data center, the physical security of your data center, the increasing the number of servers in the data center if need be, right? Expanding the hard drive capacity if is not enough to store, and if in case the system is failed, the hardware is failed, how to replace with the healthy one like a high availability SLA, in the sense service level agreements. That means no matter what the data center is having a trouble, your computer will continuously be accessible for you to run your business. That kind of the the you know the wording will be given by the service providers. That is the trust that will be given to the customers, guys, right? Because now the service providers are the third parties who are taking care of all this. Why should you worry about the data center maintenance now, correct? So you just need one system, you ask them, you take the system and you just run your business. Because you are using the system which is provided by the service provider, you just pay for that specific system only. Don't worry about any other things related to the data center maintenance. This model is called as a cloud model. Why this is cloud? In the on-premises, the business owner or a customer will definitely know that their website is running on which system, where it is located, in which rack, how to configure, where it is configured, everything pin to pin you know about it. But when it comes to this other model, the cloud model, right? He is getting one system through the IP model and he is using that for a business. Do you think in this cloud model he exactly know the system is located in which rack, which data center, how is managed, where these instructions are executed, how that is working to give you the website? Do he know all these minute details? No, right? Because he is not worrying about the data center. He is not managing that. So the entire data center part is taken care by someone else, and I don't know how that is happening behind the screen. I just need a server. I got the server, and I'm running my business. Because you exactly does not know and need not to worry about and where the computing is happening, where the request or the execution is happening, the processor execution. So that kind of the model is called as a cloud model, guys. Yes, like We don't know what's happening behind the clouds usually, right? The cloud is an abstract layer that is, stopping you to not to see what is happening above the cloud model, right? In general. So the same term they have introduced here as well. That's it. So when you are using this cloud computing model, which says that the service provider will manage the data center, they will give you the system and you use the system for your business. The shared responsibility model will come into the picture. What is shared responsibility model? Let's say if it is on premises, as an example, there's a failure in the hardware, there's a failure in the system, there's a failure of a hard drive, there's a power supply issue in your data center, and let's say your website is not working for any reason. Who is responsible, guys? For anything, you are the solely responsible because you are maintaining everything in an on-premises model, correct? When it comes to the cloud model, the question for you. Let's say there is a hardware failure in the data center. Will you be worried about that failure? You as a business owner to run your flipkart.com kind of a website? No. There's a power fluctuation. There is a temperature deviations. There is a physical security, software licenses, hardware licenses, anything that is related to the infrastructure. All those things are now completely owned by the service provider only. You don't need to worry any of them. You worry only about your application side. That means, let's say any one of the client is trying to purchase a product from the online portal. They are not able to purchase. They are not able to make a payment. Payment is failing for some reason. That kind of application related issues, you are the responsible because you are running that business on top of that servers or systems, right? So the shared responsibility model terminology is mean that in order to make your complete business running, certain things are responsible by the service provider, certain things are responsible by the customer itself related to your application. That way you don't need to struggle too much in managing the infrastructure, guys. That is the advantage you get it using this cloud computing model. So this slide talks about the differences between the on-premises model and the cloud model, and the challenges in the on-premises model, the advantage that you get it in the cloud computing model. If you ask me, yes, there are different service providers like Amazon is the service provider who is giving you this infrastructure over the internet using the AWS product. Microsoft is the service provider company who are giving these services as a Azure product. Google is the service provider company who is giving these services as a Google Cloud product. Like that, the multiple service providers are there nowadays to give you this cloud infrastructure, guys. You can take any service provider help to get these services, infrastructure services. Take the server, I mean to say system, and use it for your business to run without you worrying how these guys are managing the data centers behind the screen. Out of all these different service providers that I called out, yes, we are there here to understand how the Amazon service provider is giving you the AWS, Amazon Web Services, AWS product to use these cloud services, guys. Well, so that is the typical the details about this cloud and the on-premises model. And as there are a lot of advantages in the cloud model, yes, everyone is preferring to use the cloud infrastructure and don't worry about how and the data center is being manageable, and just worry about only your application and use it for your specific business needs. Yes, obviously there will be some downsides as well in the cloud. Maybe security is very less. You don't have a full control on the cloud because you are not managing that completely as like in on-premises. So there are slight downsides, but still comparing to the advantages, these downsides are very minimal. But still, if you think so, the cloud is not great for my use cases. No, don't worry. You be on premises, you struggle yourself to manage your data center, right? Yes. If I look into the real-time market, at least 80% of the businesses are using the cloud resources to run their businesses without worrying about the maintenance of the infrastructure. Yes, still there are 20% of the customers are on premises only because whatever they are looking for are not getting from the cloud model. It could be a security, could be the uh, more power in terms of managing the infrastructure by themselves. Yes, they are still on premises only, right? So here the goal is to understand the AWS cloud, how to use the infrastructure from them, and then we'll talk about the Linux operating system, how to use that. Then we will go slowly to the application layer. So by end of our course, I will show you how to make one website accessible to the end users by using this Linux and the AWS concepts. Well, so as it is a day one, so I don't want to make it more theoretical, putting on your head, right? So this is the story for today, guys. Right? If any questions, do let me know, or else we are good for today. We'll resume the session in tomorrow. We'll continue this towards our AWS and then towards our the next goal. Thank you for your time. I will be posting all the details about the links after the session, guys. You can go through and recap if you have missed something here. Thank you.